Hello and good morning. It's Joe Justice coming to you live on April 14th. It is Friday. It's Feel Good Friday, as a matter of fact. That's what I like to call it, and that's what I like to talk about. Yesterday was an amazing event at the Business After Hours with Better Homes and Gardening Real Estate right there on Summer Street in Charleston. It was a lot of fun, man. I got to see all kinds of people I haven't seen in a while. I haven't made the last few Business After Hours, but this one was hopping. I mean, everybody was there, and it was fun. I love the Business After Hours events. It's, you know, the opportunity to get and meet and talk with people that haven't seen maybe in a little while. It's just a lot of fun. And I always encourage people, go out to stuff like that, find events in your community, find like-minded people, spend a little bit of time with them. It seems like the Charleston area is really expanding. There's lots of events happening right now, lots of new people. On my way home, of course, the weather was great. And on my way home, I noticed, all the bars were open. There were lots of people out on the streets. There was lots of music playing, lots of stuff going on. So it's really exciting. Makes me kind of wish I was young again. Those, the bar hopping and stuff. Back when I was, in my 20s and stuff, there wasn't a really good music or bar scene around here, but it looks like there's a much better music scene than there was when I was young. It feels that way to me, at least. Maybe I'm just being, looking at today with different glasses than I did back then. But back then, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of stuff hopping. But today, it sure does. So that's very cool. So for Feel Good Friday, I've got a great topic for you. You could probably see it in the description. And this is your training today. I'm going to explain to you how to be more miserable. I know that's the kind of topic everybody wants to know. How do I be more miserable? Nobody wants to feel good. Nobody wants to be excited every day. Nobody wants to be full of energy and pep and looking forward. Everybody wants to be miserable. If there's one thing I know from looking at social media and going through a lot of people's posts, is that they love to be miserable. So I wanted to come to you and give you a little bit of an idea of how you can be more miserable every single day. So, number one, always remember to focus on how other people are doing better than you. Don't focus on yourself. Don't try to improve yourself. Just look at others and compare yourself to them. You don't have as much money as them. You're not as pretty or as handsome as them. You don't have your pets aren't as well groomed as them. Your house isn't as big as theirs. Just look at everybody around you. And if you don't have anybody around you that's better than you, just hop on social media, find some influencer that's got a bunch of fake followers anyways, and rents out mansions and then records videos there and makes content. Just look at those people and then think about how miserable you are because you're not as amazing as they are. That's what you need to do if you're looking to be more miserable. That's step number one. Step number one is always compare yourself to others and make sure you feel like you're coming up short. That's step number one to being miserable. What else can you do to be miserable? Eat tons and tons of junk food and sit on a couch all day long. Now, bonus points if you just lay around. So like if you sleep until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then just like eat nothing but junk food, lots of sugar, lots of fat, lots of, like potato chips and stuff like that. Never in moderation. Don't ever do anything in moderation. I mean, if you're going to get a bag of Doritos, eat the whole bag of Doritos every single time. And when you get that first craving for Lay's potato chips, eat the whole bag of potato chips. I mean, we're trying to feel miserable here. We're not going for that stuff where we're trying to feel okay. We're going for misery, pure and utter misery. So make sure you just find some terrible show on Netflix and get the worst food that you can eat and do nothing but sit on a couch and eat that and watch that terrible show. And that will help you feel more and more miserable. So what else can we do to feel more miserable? Don't move around. Now I mentioned just sitting around and watching TV shows and doing nothing but eating potato chips and ho-hos and Twinkies and stuff like that. Any kind of plastic food too, by the way, if it's got if it's the kind of food that you can set on a shelf for 6 months and like it doesn't rot, That's the kind of food you want to eat. That kind of stuff is going to help you to feel miserable year after. The more of that kind of stuff you put in your body, the more miserable you're going to be. I guarantee it. The other thing is never do anything in moderation. Don't do anything in moderation. If you're going to, if you decide that you want to try to improve your health, make sure you exercise for 3 hours a day and hit it hard and run for 10 miles so that you hurt yourself immediately. That's one of the first things you want to do. If you try to do anything that's positive, you want to overdo it so that you hurt yourself and then you can't do it anymore. That's exactly the right approach. Don't do anything in moderation. Make sure that you're sticking with overdoing everything and then injuring yourself and then not doing it anymore. And that you could also use that as a good excuse. Speaking of excuses, always have excuses for everything. If you end up being late, it's somebody else's fault. It was traffic. It was, your alarm didn't go off. There's something like that. You can always blame. It was your kids. It was your dog. When you woke up that morning, your dog usually licks you and wakes you up, but didn't this morning. So, always have excuses. Just have them in your back pocket. Anytime somebody says, hey, why weren't you here on time? Always blame somebody else. Always blame something else. Those are the kinds of things that you want. Never take responsibility for yourself. If you want to be miserable, that's the way to go. So just look at it this way. If you feel miserable, right, and you want to feel better, you got two options, right? One is to change yourself for the better. And number two is to change the whole world. Nobody wants to change themselves. We don't do that kind of stuff around here. We want to change the whole world. Now, here's the best part about that. That's impossible. You can't change the whole world. So just by saying you're going to change the whole world, you've made yourself more miserable because now there's nothing you can do. So that's a double win. How about that? That's pretty good, right? So that's what you want to do if you want to be more miserable. So today on Feel Good Friday, just to wrap everything up, I want to remind you that if you want to feel more miserable every day, if you want to feel terrible every day and you don't want to feel good, make sure that you don't take care of yourself. You blame others for everything. You don't take personal responsibility for anything. And you always have excuses for whatever comes your way. And be sure, most important of all, compare yourself to others and make sure you always come up short. That's how you'll feel miserable every day. Now, if you want to feel good, take responsibility, take ownership. Make sure that you compare yourself not to others, but to yourself, and that you improve just a little bit every day. Step by step, little by little, make sure that today you are a better version of you than you were yesterday, and ignore what other people say, ignore what other people do, and ignore what's happening in other people's lives. Be supportive of others, help others, use reciprocity, use gratitude, and always, always, always take ownership of your life, and you will feel good as opposed to feeling miserable. I hope you found it helpful today. I hope that you had a lot of fun. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. What's the best way to feel miserable? Drop me a comment and let me know. I want to hear what everybody thinks. Send me a message if you found this helpful. If you want any more tips, I've got lots of tools and resources. If you shoot me a message, I can give you some tips on how to take ownership of your life, how to improve your life, how to improve your health and your fitness, how to eat better, all those kinds of things that will actually help you to feel good and not feel miserable. Have a great Friday. I hope you feel good, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye for now.